Let's focus on the fight, not on the game. This week. Okay, let's jump straight away. Hello, listeners. I hope you're all doing amazing. So, when I started this podcast interview sessions, my major goal was to learn about cricket culture from different countries. And I'm fortunate to have been able to talk to a lot of experts who have been really helping me in this stuff right now. And in this podcast session, I had a conversation with Rupayan and Samantha. Rupayan is currently working as an assistant sports editor at Sports Radio America and is an amazing entertainer and a good friend to have. On the other hand, I got one more special guest, Arnav Sarkar, who is working as a Big Ten sports writer in the United States, working with Sports Radio America. We discussed a lot of things in this podcast, from the future of bilateral ODI series to the future of Test cricket. We also discuss the ticket situation in America for the World Cup games and share our thoughts on how basketball players and cricket players cope up with the expectations at the higher level. There's a lot of stuff we discussed in this interview. So stay glued with us and enjoy the podcast now. Because of Arnav, we are here together and talking to each other about cricket and all the baseball and and everything. So I just want to know from you, Rupan, because I just going through your profile and just got to know that you also host a show like Cricket Beyond Boundaries. You're an engineer. So how it started for you? Like how you just came to the sports journalism thing? I just want to know from you first.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had no idea what I really wanted to do when I was getting into college. I decided that I was going to eventually follow my father's footsteps because he's a mechanical engineering professor at Georgia Southern University in the U.S. I was thinking maybe I would go into the engineering line and do something related, I guess. But then that's why I got into Virginia Tech as a computer engineer major because he wanted me to go into computer engineering. So I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I want to do something in engineering. Doesn't matter which one. It took me 5 years to graduate there because it turned out that it wasn't for me. I wish that I could have done better in my studies there, but things just happen for a reason, I guess.
Absolutely.
After I graduated, it took me about a year to decide what I wanted to do next. In between that time, I was trying to search for different career options. Any other small jobs that I could do at least temporarily or something, and I would just be doing odd tasks and stuff. Then towards the end of 2020 is when I took a course, a sports management online course, and that's what got me into sports. In March 2021, I got my first internship into a sports job, and I've been doing that since basically. The course's name was Football GM and Scouting, and the website or the organization where I studied from was Sports Management Worldwide.
Fair enough. And sadly, like you said, there's something happened for a reason, and it actually happened for you in cricket and all the sports thing, man. Congratulations to you. So. Yeah, and what about you, Arnav? I think we both are in the same age group, if I'm not wrong, because I'm 22, 23 and doing my stuff. So what about you? How all started for you when it comes to sports?
I'm 21. Kind of similar actually, to Rupayan. I went into business because that's kind of what my parents wanted me to do, and I kind of realized it wasn't for me, but I was still pursuing it. But I used to be part of the marching band in college, and then I kind of noticed they're advertising about the Rutgers radio station, and they have sports, they have sports news, music, everything. It's a multi-purpose station, but for sports it really caught my eye because it said, they let people call games and do things like that, and I always thought that was, that was always something I've wanted to do, since I was younger. It was always a dream of mine. So I decided to do it, not knowing really how it would work, or it was the radio. But I decided to join, and then we also do sports talk shows. So between that and then trying to call games, I really enjoyed it, and I'm still kind of working towards getting a full time role in the station. I'm still kind of working towards where I want to be, but I feel pretty comfortable at this point with my progress. And yeah, and then that kind of allowed me to like switch my major into sports journalism. I'm also doing another major in human resources too, and then also do then I started my own podcast and this internship where I write articles. So I'm kind of trying to branch out and do different things in sports media because I know it's a competitive field and there's a lot of different things you could do. But I'm hoping between all those things, I could land a job in something. But I enjoy it, so I'm trying to see what works. I definitely do enjoy the podcast.
What is all about? It's all about sports, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we do. Pretty much sport, whatever's going on in the U.S. And even we've talked about cricket on it, on the World Cup. It's we usually do an NFL weekly recap of every game, which has been fun. Then we talk about everything else too. We talk NBA, NHL, baseball, cricket, anything that goes on. Basically, we cover it. So we do it weekly. So it's actually pretty fun. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting because a lot of people from India want to know about the NBA stuff like you're doing, and Rupayan as well. Rupayan, you also cover NFL stuff as well, right? Got to know that you have an interest in the NFL and the cricket thing. And the article which you wrote till now is all about 38, 39 article which I saw. Actually, I just researched a lot about you guys, and I got to know that you also write a lot of articles and then also host shows and a lot of good things you do. So I think we should start about cricket first because this is something that I'm sure, as I mentioned, Arnav, this is all the open, free-wheeled chat. I know NBA is your league, but obviously you have some sort of interest, like you mentioned that you used to watch.
Yeah, I do. So I do sometimes. Like the World Cup, I was watching. Especially the final. I've watched games before. I understand the rules of it. It's a little tough with the time zones, but yeah, I mean, I feel like it's definitely a fun game. I enjoy watching it when I can. It's not my biggest sport, but I do like it. I'm excited to the World Cups, the T20s coming to the U.S. So I might even see a match in New York. Maybe India, Pakistan, or something like that. I mean, it should be fun. I've always thought it's very exciting, even compared to baseball. I feel like it's very exciting. There's every single ball, there's excitement when they, you put the ball into play, and then so there's a lot more scoring. So yeah, I've always liked the game, and yeah, it's definitely fun to talk about for sure.
I have a question for you guys. What's the situation of ticket for the India Park game in New York? Because a lot of people are actually focusing on how do we get tickets. So what's the situation over there? I'm sure Rupayan, I just want to jump into it and ask you. First time United States is hosting that World Cup, and I'm pretty much sure it's a best opportunity for them to popularize cricket. Because just a few days back, I was talking to someone from America, and he said to me that yes, cricket will not reach at the level of NFL or the American soccer, whatever you do, a lot of other games as well. But still,
I would say, they're definitely excited. There's a lot of in their own groups, their own players. They're still trying to decide what's the best team to take into the World Cup. The good thing is now in 2024, some of the players who came from other countries are now going to be available to represent USA for the first time. Guys like Unmuk Chan, there's Corey Anderson. Up until a few days ago, it was also going to be there's also going to be a South African spinner named Dane Pete. But now Shukri Conrad actually picked him up for the South African-New Zealand test, so we'll be missing him. But at least we're proud that somebody who got to play some form of American cricket, maybe not international, is going back to their country and taking back whatever knowledge they got while playing some international cricket.
Fair enough. And I was just looking at the US team, and few players which I really love watching is one of the players, Aaron Jones, and he also bats as well. And a lot of people say he's an X factor. And there's one more player, if I'm not wrong, with Saurav Nitwankar. He's a pace bowler, right? How do you see them? How do you see the pace bowling? Because a lot of people say that, batters wins you the games and bowler wins you the tournament. It's a fact that a lot of people need to agree on this. So how do you see the pace bowling setup of US team, Rupayan?
Well, they do have Ali Khan, who's a Pakistani-born player. He's our main fast bowler. He's going to be. He's participated in many leagues across the world, T20 leagues, let's say, I think the BPL, definitely the Pakistan Super League, probably even the Caribbean one, which PPL.
Sure.
he's gonna be leading the squad basically. And I mean, this is a pace bowler.
Yeah.
We don't really have that many other options at the moment that I know of because I mean, like they haven't really the U.S. doesn't really get many chances to play games, and I mean they have a lot of like I guess domestic matches going on, especially with like the new minor league cricket and major league cricket going on. But I guess I mean there's no telling who's actually going to be in the squad because I can say that okay, Netravalkar and Ali Khan will be there, but then who else is going to join them? They've used guys like Jesse Singh, Kyle Phillips.
Yeah.
They've tried new guys like Abhishek Paratkar, but like there's no telling if they're going to make it or not because the main issue here is not the players. There's a lot of things that are out of control of their hands because like the whole like the U.S. cricket board is going through some like I guess a regime shift because they've been I mean every time I hear the U.S. news it's just like this guy's getting fired or this guy's getting reassigned to another position or something. They're still trying to figure out who's even like going to be like the national team selectors and who else is going to be the CEO or chairman and stuff like that. There's a lot of controversy also going on about
So we're seeing a lot of politics out there.
Politics, yep, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unpaid wages going on between not only players but also staff, like the groundsmen or those who are actually like managing the side or something, like strength and conditioning coaches and stuff. So through all of this, the players are at least trying to keep a level head and stay calm throughout this process.
Sure.
But then, I mean, you also know, I mean, the main thing, I mean, I guess the problem here is I can't speculate who's going to be there. I know that Netravalkar and Ali Khan should be at least there because they're not only they're not only young, but they're also like at the peak of their careers. They performed well in the many chances that they've gotten. But like I don't know who else is going to make a debut or stuff because there's so many there's like an influx of players coming from India or South Africa or West Indies who are potentially going to represent the U.S. in the future sometime, and some of them I mean they have to obviously wait 2 years and then they're eligible to represent their new country because there's like that gap of time that you can't play from one country to another. So once they're eligible, they're gonna take over, and I'm not sure like what positions these new guys play. So there could be new fast bowlers too in the side.
I have obviously the chain question with it, but first I just want to know from Arnav, right? Obviously, Arnav, this is the game which obviously a lot of people love in India, everywhere. So what do you think about the US cricket? I have a question for you, Rupan, as well, as far the US team is concerned, but I just want to know from Arnav first.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Arnav? The US cricket popularizing, I mean, cricket, it's a good chance for them just to, just to be popular?
Yeah. I think it will. I mean, I'm seeing there's more like of an effort in the U.S. If their own team, they qualified for the World Cup. They're even hosting it. I was looking at the rosters from like for the U.S. team, men's and women's, and it's like a lot of people, from India or Indian origin or West Indies origin or, from countries who play the game. And, I thought that was very interesting, but it's like, they're from the U.S., so they're representing, their own team here. But, it's, so they bring, their love for the game, to the States. And even in, the Indian American population in the U.S., specifically, like, a lot of us like are cricket fans, and we watch cricket. Like we have the cricket package or whatever, Willow, and like I'm not so big into it, but a lot of my friends are, and like even at school they'd be like watching like the IPL or for example, or India, the World Cup, like the World Cup this year, like people are staying up at night watching it. I woke up in the morning, watched the final, and that was the heartbreaking loss to Australia after they played good the whole tournament. But it's definitely growing in the U.S. and I think it could grow. I mean, when people really see what the game's actually like having the thing in the U.S., New York, and I think Florida has some matches. Like I think that's gonna be really good. I mean, if they could put that like on TV or something, or even if people just go to it and like really understand what the rules are and stuff, I feel like, it might be a hard game for people to understand, don't really know much about the sport, but I feel like if you understand the rules and, people will realize it's actually a lot of fun and, like maybe even like, try playing it themselves or at least, become a fan. I think it's definitely, there's a lot of room for growth in the US for sure.
But still, like a lot of people mentioning that it takes time. It's not that you will just
Yeah.
do the World Cup and
Mhm.
suddenly you will see a lot of boom in the cricket games. No, it will take time. But still, do you think? I just want to know from you guys. First, I just want to know from Arnav. They are having some sort of a games like apart from the World Cup which is coming. They do a lot of other games as well. Like I remember, there's a major Premier League. But apart
Mhm.
from that,
Yeah, Major League Cricket and Minor League Cricket.
yeah,
Not honestly, not really sure. I think like that major league cricket and like all of that count. That's kind of like on the same level. It's like between like different cities in the U.S. and stuff like that. I don't know if it's like really. It's not really like as big as the IPL, but it exists. So I mean, that's definitely a step forward. Yeah, like a Major League Cricket, professional T20 cricket league in the U.S. and so they have 6 teams. I guess they have New York team. I think is the recent champion of that. So yeah, I mean that's. They actually, so they have the Los Angeles Knight Riders. I guess that's in kind of off
Yeah.
KKR, but the Knight Riders. Then they have the MI New York, which is, these are all affiliates of IPL teams, which is actually pretty cool. So then, and then San Francisco Unicorns, Seattle Orcas, Texas Super Kings. Yeah, I could see it. And then Washington Freedom. That's actually pretty cool. It's like so that's kind of like on the same level as like the IPL, I think, yeah.
I think Rupan can relate to this because I just saw that a particular podcast against the South African thing, Rupan, and you guys are discussing about South African Premier League, which is the same thing like the IPL names. Kolkata Knight Riders to Durban Knight Riders, and a lot of things other than this, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned to me about United States cricket, about the controversies and a lot of firing thing, how people got fired and a lot of things. I have a question for you regarding this because in that particular podcast, I evidently remember you said to Richard that the IPL thing and any domestic format about 20 overs or any league is for the youngsters and to promote youngsters talent, young talent. Yes, you need Josh Butler, you need Virat Kohli to take a stadium on, but still you need a lot of players to grow them so that then only you can get Rinku Singh and other sort of players.
Yeah.
Who knows Rinku Singh before that 30 runs inning, that 5-6 which he.
Well, I mean, I would say I do because I'm a huge Kolkata Knight Riders fan, and I mean, I've been following that dude for a while. He's been with our team for so long. He's been an excellent fielder always, but nobody got to know his batting talents until this year. But I'm glad that the world knows it. I'm glad that India knows him. I'm glad that he's playing international cricket. I mean, this is great for him. Yeah.
Obviously, Rupan, United States cricket, which you mentioned, but a lot of things, a lot of controversies and things. You need young players. The age of Saurav Netwankar or Ali Khan is around more than 30 plus. And teams, if you see that average on an average is around 27, 28. More than that, actually. Teams like associate teams specifically, the teams who just play a white ball cricket, they have this issue. The cricket is all about young players at the age of 20 to 30. How do you see the transformation in United States cricket? Do you see after World Cup T20, there's a chance of a new team, the new gauge of players?
Yeah, I mean, that's completely not dependent on who's going to be part of the Under-19 World Cup, because even that's coming up soon in a few days, and the U.S. is going there. They're sending. They even managed to send their women's team to the last the Under-19 Women's World Cup too. Yeah. So I mean, these kind of competitions will be good for their progress, and then they get to learn. They get to touch shoulders with so many greats, or potential greats maybe, and then they'll get to interact with so many different people. Try to learn from those experiences, and then make sure that they can try to progress in their cricketing careers. I mean, in the future, or in the near future, as far as young players are coming into the U.S., there've been a few. They've been trying out some guys. Like there's been this new wicketkeeper named Saitej Mukamala, or maybe not a wicketkeeper, but he's 19 years old. I'm not sure if he plays the under-19 team, but he does get experience from the MLC, and he's gotten a few ODIs and T20 matches starting this year. Or actually last year, 2023. I keep forgetting that we're in 24.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they've been trying out some young names. I still don't know enough of them to give like a good scouting report as to how good they are or not. But I guess their main issue is the main thing that they're doing now is trying to recruit people from the outside because I mean America is like the land of opportunity for so many people. Everybody there are some players who don't get any chances for their national teams now, like say Hamad Asam from Pakistan. There's guys like Shehan Jayasuriya from Sri Lanka.
Sure.
They're all coming to the US now and trying to play in the domestic sports here. And actually, to go back on a point that you were asking Arnav, the MLC has been designed to be like the USA's IPL.
Sure.
So this is going to be like our premier league that everybody's going to try to come to whenever it's available. We're going to try to get as many people as possible from the outside, like all the greats who get to play in other leagues as overseas players. But yeah, and there's a lot of other domestic competitions that go on here that aren't really that well known, and they're not like, I mean, I guess each state or each city, each town may have their own like small game, but they're not really regulated, and I mean they're not. I'm pretty sure I'd say like they're not ICC approved. So they'll just like if you look at a scorecard like on Cricket or something, it'll just say other T20 or other ODI. So it's like not really a part of games that are counted towards like national like statistics that everyone will know as a fact in like a database or something.
Yeah, maybe this is a reason. No, this is a reason like a lot of people actually don't not aware about the MLC thing, but it's actually like an IPL. I just saw that you have a New York team as well, MI New York and everything, right? Yeah. So I mean,
there's supposed to be like there's a lot of, I mean, I guess every team that they have they have some sort of partnership worldwide. Like there are 3 IPL teams I think that are partnering with the US teams, and then there's some other. There's also like I think maybe a Dubai-based organization and an Australian state that are also representing. Like they've sent representatives to be a part of this the MLC team.
Sure. I think so. The moral of the story is important thing is that MLC is actually a IPL, the US domestic IPL, like US IPL, right? Absolutely. And I just move to the second question. Before I just move to second question, I just want to know because it's a mixed conversation about NBA as well, and I just want Arnav to be open down and shoot it down with their knowledge about NBA things. So can you just Arnav explain me the domestic structure?
Yeah, well, basketball is a pretty big deal in the U.S. So I mean, NBA is a professional league, but it kind of starts when people are young. They have high school basketball. Every high school has like pretty much like a boys and girls team. They might even have like different levels like varsity, junior varsity, like maybe even a freshman team. And then if you're really good, people participate on like travel teams, and they kind of travel tour the country, and they do tournaments. And this is all when they're young, so they could kind of show off their skills and the scouts and stuff. And then from there, I mean they have like these camps with like players in the NBA, like will run camps like Steph Curry and other guys, so then so the best players will will participate in things like that.
I heard
as well.
I heard a high school basketball is really, really famous over there, right? A lot of people actually broadcast those high school basketball tournaments as well. I heard about this.
Yeah, they do. Like the big ones. Yeah, they do. Like the best, because a lot of those top high schools, they have like players who are going to go to the NBA or going to go to college. So then the best high school basketball players they go to college basketball, and that's like a huge deal too. Like I'm at Rutgers, and they're in the Big Ten, and they have college basketball. They're bringing in like 2 of the top recruits in the country, so that's going to be very exciting from high school. One from Georgia, one from I think New Jersey. They have like these big programs. So college basketball is really big, and then from there the best players they go to the NBA. They have like development leagues. They have like the NBA G League. They have overtime league. There's like all these things coming up. Some people go overseas. They play there, but there's all these different leagues where it's like semi-pro. You can kind of work on your game, and that's kind of the level below the NBA. And then some people come from there to play in the NBA. Other players just get drafted right out of college. I mean that's pretty much how it works in terms of basketball. And then it kind of goes up from like high school to college. And then, all of this is like televised and stuff like that, so there's a lot of exposure, and people watch all these games. And then NBA, of course, is like kind of the big leagues, So yeah, I mean, I love watching the NBA. It's a lot of fun. The skill level of the basketball players on display. Even in college and especially in the NBA. I mean, it's like, you have some of the best players in the entire world. You also have international players. So, I mean, you have players like Steph Curry, who are like great shooters. You have like LeBron James. You have, so many more guys like Giannis, Antetokounmpo,
I heard Kevin Durant
Dame
as well.
Lillard, like so many more.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love watching Kevin Durant game, man. It's really, really.
Yeah, he has a great game. Yeah, ideal basketball athlete with the size shooting. His handles, like he can kind of do it all pretty much. Yeah, what you want out of the sport for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to know, Rupayan, from you as well, because obviously, like he mentioned about the broadcast in India or any place, if you just see an IPL gauge, which is so big because of the broadcasting, because a lot of people for 2 months do a lot of ads, a lot of IPL ads, a lot of things. Do you think this is also should be a part of US cricket? Like you mentioned about a lot of people don't know about MLC cricket because it's not licensed. I don't have any channel where I can watch MLC cricket. I have to go to YouTube or I have to go somewhere. Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. I guess games, I mean, even stuff like the BBL or BPL, they're trying to broadcast outside to other countries so people can watch it anywhere in the world. So if they could do that for the MLC too, the more people getting to know that some of their favorite players from different countries are playing in this one league. It would be great. I mean, like obviously any more attention that they can get, it would be great for not only the players but the league as an overall thing. They've tried so many times. Like this is probably I would say like their third or fourth attempt at trying to create an IPL like league, and they're actually confident this time that they can make this one long lasting. Because the previous iterations have always failed due to money issues and lots of sponsorship and stuff. But now they finally got some major backing from not just like expats or immigrants who are now here in the U.S., but also from U.S.-based investors. Like there's Ross Perot Jr., even guys like Satya Nadella and CEOs of companies, they're investing their money and time into trying to ensure that MLC and cricket can try to flourish in the US.
Sure.
So any more attention, any more broadcasting that they can get, I would say that's probably their next step because like they were trying to still make sure that the 2023 version was going to go well without any problems or anything. And even then, there was a minor issue. Like it was supposed to start in, I think, May-ish, or March or May, but it actually started in June due to delays because they were trying to get the league accredited by the ICC and make sure that it's a league where other players from other countries can actually come here, because like you know about the no objection certificates, right? Like players from other countries can't play in another league until they get that permission from their cricket board.
Okay.
Now, if this wasn't an ICC certified league, then they wouldn't be able to come here. They'd all get penalized. They'd get fines. They'd probably get suspended from games and stuff. So that caused a few months of delay before the actual league started.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Major League Cricket, after seeing that like it's been such a success in 2023, and then seeing the success of minor league cricket in the past years, because they started that one before MLC to try to see if like this structure would be a good one that can be profitable for both the players and the league and stuff. Yeah. So now that they've seen the success, like the next step is broadcasting.
Who are the major broadcasters over there? Who are those major
I think,
broadcasters?
like Arnav said, Bilateral cricket, that's a big one. I'm actually not that sure because the one good thing that they did was they put the games on YouTube, so I just watch it from there. So I didn't have to go turn on the TV or like try to search another like website or something. So the only one that I'm sure of is Willow Cricket. There might be some other big channels too that or local channels that I'm not sure of.
Sure. Before we move to Arnav and ask about the in-season tournament, I just want to know about the future of A lot of people a lot of players are actually leaning towards a T20I cricket. It's a not hidden fact anymore. You see a lot of players who actually prioritize more of T20I leagues, not going for the test matches, but they go for the leagues. It's a fact. It's a very honest fact, and it's okay. If you need money, it's a fact. What's your take on the future of bilateral ODI series? Because I'm really curious about this thing. Do you see heading up after 2027 World Cup the baseless or bilateral series? Because for me, I think you want ODI series, but you want ODI series. How can you make money out of it? This is the important thing. So what's the future you see? If ODI series get diminished, how do you foresee this happening for the associate nations? How do associate nation can cope up with this fact?
Yeah, that's a major issue that's going on. I mean, it's so sad because obviously you need money. You need money to live. And I mean, maybe these players, especially for like associate nations and stuff, where cricket's not like the main thing. I mean, I guess it sounds like it's not there yet in terms of, say, the NBA or the NFL or something where athletes or like people can become athletes and choose to make that their whole career. In cricket, it's like they have to do a side job that pays them the actual money, and then they play their games on the weekend. So that's like one major issue for all associate nations, not just the U.S. And if you take away bilateral series, if you take away the chances to get them more opportunities to play against better leagues in the world, then there's no point of really having a World Cup. The World Cup will just become like an elitist thing of just the best 10 members, the full member nation.
Sure.
Like, I mean, what I dislike about the World Cup is they call it World Cup and it's only like the top 10 best teams or something.
Yeah.
There's very little chance for outside nations, like associate nations, to make it in, and the qualification process is so hard for them because there's only like maybe one or two spots that they can give out in total. Whereas there are 190 countries in the world, how are they going to just boil that down to two spots? You know, like they should make it more open. They should try to take an approach like what soccer is doing and how the FIFA World Cup is going to expand their teams to 48 teams. Then they've been trying 32 also. So if cricket could do the same thing instead of, and they did, at once they did, and they've been shrinking it each year. Each new edition, you'll see lesser teams making it. So that's definitely a major issue. But then at the same time, it's also about money. Like, how are you going to make money out of this? I don't have the answer to that. It's going to be good for, say, like, associate nations to have big teams come to their countries and invest more, like they get that cash influx just for that series only. But what's going to make them want to come? How are they going to have enough money to maybe go visit them in the future? You know,
I'll see as an outsider what I see from when it comes to US cricket or any associate nations. To be in fact. There's a lot of inequality between the games because in India, I'll tell you why. In US, I heard about this. I think Rupayan and Arnav, you both agree with me this because both the games, any games in the US, especially the Olympic Games, actually funded by the corporates, backed by the corporates. Am I right or wrong? Am I right? Backed by the corporates, funded by the corporates, and a lot of things. And in India, the one game which is actually took over everything, which is cricket, especially cricket. And yes, after coming. Just back to ISL and the new things for the football, you can see a bit of changes and people are going to the stadium to watch football matches. So in India, there's a two game which is actually a huge now. And when it comes to US, there's like I mentioned, both the countries having the inequalities between the games. Why not, like you mentioned, the Satya Nadella is actually picking up this thing. You can go and play. We'll back you. Do you see that social security is also the issue where only 5-6 players are actually getting a lot of hype and other players are actually not? And you mentioned.
Well, that's an issue of itself. That's something that that a lot of teams have to struggle with. Like if you're not like a Sena nation or like from subcontinental Asia. Most of these players from the outside, like Zimbabwe or something, or especially the associate nations, they'll most likely have like one or two good players who go to various leagues, and then the rest of them are just like focused on stuff within their own country if they have those kind of games. or they'll try to go to their neighboring countries and stuff. But then that's another issue in and of itself, because in like countries like Ireland or Scotland, their next door neighbor is England, so they'll just go play county cricket. But then, even though they're gaining the experience in county cricket and that stability too, because they don't have to qualify as an overseas player, they can come through the UK visa.
Sure.
They'll most likely try to stay in that county cricket format instead of trying to represent their country. That's been an issue during like World Cup qualifiers and stuff, because I heard that Netherlands and Ireland, they had problems with county cricket teams trying to release their players for the qualifiers. But because they said that they will release them for the actual World Cup, but not before then. So that's an issue that the European countries have to face. I mean, but they're also better off because of the county cricket. Like you see Ireland, Scotland, maybe sometimes even Netherlands. There are a lot of Dutch players trying to make their ways into the county cricket system, especially Paul van Meekeren, who's somebody who I got to know recently.
Yeah, Paul Meekeren, right?
Yeah, Van Meekeren. Yeah,
fast bowler.
He's a super fast bowler. Like I would like to see him get some chances too in various leagues. He's done well for Netherlands internationally. He's done well in the county, his county, or whichever team he plays for. If he could get more, I mean, if guys like these could get more opportunities worldwide, it would be great. That's why I like something that the CPL is doing, where they're trying to get one Associate Nations player, or one spot dedicated to an Associate Nations player, especially from the US or Canada, and that's how they got some of the talent from improvement of talent from US and Canadian cricket players too. If more leagues could do something like that, like the IPL or something, dedicate a spot for an associate player, whether or not they play the game, even if they can just stay in that system and learn, it's going to be a lot. Ali Khan got to do that for Kolkata Knight Riders, because when Brendan McCullum was our head coach, he played for the Trinbago Knight Riders too in the CPL. And after a team meeting, during a team meeting, he announced that Ali Khan was going to be also representing Kolkata Knight Riders. Unfortunately, due to injury, he never got to play a game, but he still stayed in the country, and he stayed under the coaching staff, got to learn with our bowling coach, got to learn with Brendan McCullum and stuff. So that's one thing I think most other leagues can try to learn from or do or follow. Have to bring in more Associate Nations cricketers and then develop them. Basically.
Yeah, I'll come to Arnav as well for the in-season tournament, the new thing in the NBA. But before that, I just want to conclude this, Rupan. Rupan, you think players I remember I was just interviewing someone. He mentioned to me very evidently that they are the semi-professional cricketers, and I really hate that word. When any international cricketers say that they are semi-professional, which is something which I never want to listen, because you practice a lot for years and years, and you only be a full-time player when you have a lot of money in it.
For the US, maybe. I mean, if they can see, I guess it's a point about who's in charge as well, because the players themselves, they're all worthy of more playing time, more focus and stuff. There's so many unheard of guys, because they don't look at people from the US or something. Say somebody from India won't exactly get to know the entire US team or something, or they might not recognize anybody unless they get to see them in other leagues or something, or unless they try to do some more research on them. If you can get these kind of it would be great to see that happen, but it's really hard. Because in the US, I'll say it's going to be harder because of the regime changes. If we can get a stable group of people who actually head up the US organization, then maybe they can try to invest within their country and try to make cricket a profession where players can just do that all day, every day, and that's their main place of work and where their main source of income. The issue is, the Associated Nations, they don't really get that much money anyway.
Yeah.
And if you have issues in your country, like, it's almost like I'm singling out the U.S. But countries like the West Indies, Pakistan, they're going through some changes of their own, where like a lot of interfering between board members
yeah,
into the team.
Sri Lanka as well. Sri Lanka is also facing the same issue.
Sri Lanka, yeah, exactly. Because the SLC got suspended recently, I heard. Yeah,
things are definitely not going good for the subcontinent. Like, except India, things are not going well. Yes. Absolutely. But one thing is actually rising, that is Nepal. I'm really curious to know. I remember I just sent you that question and you mentioned to me, dude, I don't want to talk about this right now. You mentioned to me. Can you just talk to Arnav first? Arnav, just tell me one thing, man. What's a new thing, man, in-season tournament? Because this is something which is a new addition for sure.
So the in-season tournament, this is a new thing, first year of that. Basically they have, they have a lot of games. They have a group stage and then they have a knockout stage. So all 30 teams participate in the group stage, which are basically regular season games on designated nights for the in-season tournament standings. And there's six. The 30 teams are divided into 6 groups, and they each play, I think, one game against the other 4 teams in their group. And then the top so many teams make it to the knockout stage. I think each group winner, and then 2 of the next top teams, we get into the knockouts, and I guess 2 wild cards. And then so out of the 8, then they have semis, then they have a knockout round, and then the semis and final were in Las Vegas. So this year's Lakers, the Lakers beat the Pacers in the final. So I guess, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, it's a big market for basketball, especially a lot of, Lakers fans and stuff, historic franchise they won. So, that was, I guess, interesting because a lot of people like the Lakers, a lot of people don't like them. A lot of people say it's like a fake trophy. There's pluses and minuses with the tournament. I kind of liked how it was a regular season. It was part of the regular season. They didn't take away from the regular season, but yet those games were more entertaining. They were, because there are higher stakes on them. The winners of the tournament made money and stuff like that, and they won the NBA Cup. So a lot of people took that seriously for the bonuses they would make by getting to the knockout round, winning the tournament. They painted the courts different colors, which I thought was kind of funny, honestly. Some of them looked good, some of them I think was just too much. But the games were pretty competitive for the in-season tournament. It's gonna stay. Whether fans like it or not, it's gonna stay. I think it was fun. They're gonna make some changes to it, I'm sure, based on what people want. But it's gonna stay. It's not gonna take over the regular season. It's basically a part of the regular season. Yeah. I think even the knockout games count towards, except for the final. But the regular season's going to go on. It's an 82-game regular season. In-season tournament, I like it's like how it's like a part of it, so it doesn't take away from the regular season, but yet it kind of it's just a part of it. So it gives incentive in the regular season in, November, in November, December, when not too many people are really into basketball. It's kind of like NFL is really big. Even right now the playoffs are going on, but in the early part of the regular season, not too many people watch basketball. But because of that in-season tournament, probably more people watch basketball, just to see that and how it would work and the knockout stage. So definitely in the early part of the season, before Christmas Day is a big, it's a big NBA day, because it's kind of the first time a lot of casual fans will tune in, maybe aside from opening day, but a lot of casual fans will kind of tune into Christmas Day basketball. This year there's football on Christmas Day, so that again it takes over. But Christmas Day is the first big day for the NBA. But in this season, I guess with the in season, a lot of people tune into that to see how it works, and the games had higher intensity. So yeah, I think it was pretty fun, all things considered. I think they can make some changes, but it's going to be a part of the regular season. I like the way they had it set up. I think it's definitely here to stay, and I think I think it should be. So I think it's pretty cool what happened, and at the end we saw Lakers versus Pacers, which kind of doesn't really reflect the NBA standings right now. Because the Lakers, I believe, I think they could do a better job of making it reflect, because the Lakers are actually 10th, and the Pacers are seventh in the East. So like they could maybe make it look more like their regular season, but at the same time, yeah, I think it was a pretty cool experience to see, and yeah, it's going to be here to stay. So they'll make some tweaks about it in the off season, and we'll see it again next year.
The reason why I just want to know about the in-season tournament, because 82 games in the regular season, okay, it's tiring sometimes, because if you see the future, yes, in-season tournament is actually a part of regular season, but still, and this is the reason I ask you, because 82 games and then this best of 7 playoff, the famous playoff series which actually NBA people do, the 7 games against each other. Have you seen any interviews where NBA players actually explaining their mental fatigue? I
haven't seen any. Yeah, I haven't seen any interviews. There is stuff about NBA players' mental health and stuff like that. They are trying to focus more on it. So I think that's a good thing. And yeah, like Kevin Love, for example, like he actually, I think he had to, he was having like a panic attack during a game, and he actually really spread awareness to a lot of NBA players about in the community about how hard it can be, because there's so much pressure on these athletes to really sustain that level of high competition. There's a lot of pressure. So he actually, I think, made a huge breakthrough. Now I think a lot of people really care about it, and there's like a stigma behind it. This NBA, you're living in luxury and you're a tough athlete, and but like at the end of the day, like it's still a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of travel. So I mean, that takes a toll on people. So they definitely have that Kevin Love thing really kind of really got that that movement started. And then nowadays, like people, NBA players, they take rest days, like if the stars will, they'll take rest, which a lot of fans don't like, because they spend money and then they see players are resting for the playoffs, but also physical injuries that they're always playing, they're battling through those. So it's hard. I mean, they play one night, then they go to a different city, play another night. So there's a lot of like rest on back to backs. There's a lot of things like that. Because it's a long grind. It's 82 games, in a short amount of time. And then, so a lot of times players will kind of, like, especially like the Clippers like to do that. They like to, every team does it to some extent. Players get some rest. But now they have like a 65 game limit in terms of like MVP and all the other awards. You have to play at least 65 games, but that still includes injuries, rest days, things like that. So then you can rest up. You can, for the playoffs, it's like each 7-game series. So that's when everyone plays, because that's where the big show is. But yeah, in the regular season, definitely it's important to take care of your. Even in the postseason, it's important to take care of your mental health, your physical health, especially when you play a game where there's, could be injuries, there could be, all this pressure, there, so many things like that. You got to take care of your body and your health. So yeah, I think that NBA's done a good job of taking initiative with, players really making it okay to express that, which I think is a really good thing for the community.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to ask you, because if you remember, I think 2 years back, if I'm not wrong, the UEFA Euro League, the Christian Eriksen heart attack, if you remember, Denmark player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then obviously, I just want to ask you from both of you guys, because when you see a lot of players are actually taking break from the international stage and say, no man, I just want a break. Because if you remember, Glenn Maxwell also took a break last 2 years back. It's a really important topic to discuss, where a lot of players are actually going through a mental fatigue because they play a lot of matches. Because in cricket also, is just remember after the World Cup, India again started playing the 5 matches against Australia, and then suddenly after the week holiday, they have to be in South Africa to play again a long series, right? Do you think cricket should, specifically cricket should get a little minimized? Because for me, what I'm excited for as a cricket fan, as an Indian cricket fan, I want to see India versus England series. I want to see India versus South Africa series. That's it. Like after the World Cup, this is enough for me.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like mental health is a main. It should be something that should be mental fatigue. Should be mental health should be addressed by like in any form of work that you really do. But yeah, especially with the athletes. Like I don't mind them taking rest at all. Like I know that people want to come see like the main players, especially in the NBA, like Arnav said. But at the same time, it also, at least more so in cricket, it gives more opportunities to new and up and coming players,
Yeah.
because I guess like in cricket, the thing is it's more international. They're always like the term fringe players that can come up from the domestic side and make their names in the main national team. But like in the NBA, it's not like that. It's like each state or each city or like sometimes even multiple states that have multiple teams inside. It's just that group of 15 to 17, 18 players, how many ever they have. So if there's an injury or if there's some a rest day in the NBA, then it's more of a problem for them, because then they have to make sure that their backups or the reserve players are ready to take over. And in cricket, it's just like there's an influx of players every time who are trying to do well, so that they can get their chances and stuff in case there are any rests or breaks and stuff. But I'm digressing from the point. The main mental health should be definitely addressed in all sports. The thing is that people should be looking at it from a good side of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have used mental fatigue or mental health for bad reasons, or they've used that as an excuse for something bad that they did. For example, like I think former Australian captain and wicketkeeper Tim Payne has got into some sort of controversy, and then he said, "Oh, I'm taking a mental health break because I'm trying to figure some things out." But that I feel like he's just using that term as an excuse for something bad that he did.
Okay.
Like that's completely unacceptable, and that takes away from those who are actually suffering from mental health issues, or those who actually need rest from the game, like say Naomi Osaka in tennis, or this recent NBA draft pick who retired at 22 years old, Tyrell Terry. Like he didn't even get that many games, and then he said that he fell out of love with the game due to anxiety issues, and he's retired at that young of an age. So it definitely like should be addressed everywhere. And if people need to take more rest, if there needs to be more gaps in between games, that would be well advised. But sometimes maybe especially with South Africa, like with the SE20 that they created, because they wanted to focus on that league so much. They withdrew from an ODI series. I think Australia was it. And then now they're sending like a weak team against the New Zealand for the test.
Yeah, okay.
They're trying to focus on their league because this is where they're trying to invest their money to get So like you were saying, this is how they're trying to improve their monetary status. And try to prevent players from leaving the country and becoming cold pack players or something in England.
And maybe this is the reason you're seeing a lot of 2 series games, right? 2 series test games. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
In South Africa, in West Indies, because they don't have a lot of money to organize 5 or 6 test matches series. I'll tell you one thing. I'm just reading something somewhere about the Indian cricket. Why Indian cricket is important as far as the whole cricket is concerned. If you see Indian cricket, how money is actually getting into it. It all happened after 1983 World Cup games. 83 games, after 83, before that it was Prudential Cup, 75, 79, 83 in England, which happened. And at that point of the time, what was actually there is, you won the trophy and you will get nothing. You will get nothing, you won't get anything. And this will actually happen to India as well. Like India actually won the trophy in 83. And when it comes to cash prize, they didn't have any cash prize at that point of a time. So there's a very famous singer in India. He actually organized that, Lata Mangeshkar. I think you know about Lata Mangeshkar, right? So, she organized that one concert, and whatever money they got all distributed to the players and everything. 20 lakh rupees, which was really great that point of a time. But still, and suddenly in 87, when India hosted for the first time the World Cup by the Reliance company, then suddenly there's a Benson Hedges came and the Reliance came. So this is the reason we won series like 2001 Australian, if you remember, India-Australia series 2001. Yeah. And yeah,
Yeah.
you want those sort of a series. You want series like this, like this recent one, 2020 to 2021, India Australia, when India got bundled on
Yeah.
36 runs and suddenly they got back
Mhm.
and hit them up. You want those
Yeah.
games, and then you actually
Yeah.
get a lot of plays. I still believe, because it's a 5-match test series, you will not see a lot of audience in first game, but eventually when you see that, okay, there's a decider game, for example, this 2-2 tie, and the last game become really very important,
Mhm.
then you will see a lot of
Mhm.
people getting over there. It's the same question for you guys,
Yeah.
like especially Rupan, because you were in cricket thing. Test matches finishing in 2-3 days. I just recently saw an Australian versus West Indies game, and suddenly it already
Mhm.
happened 3 days, and that finished.
Mhm.
What's your take on the
Mhm.
future of Test cricket, especially given South Africa recent criticism as well for selecting a weak team, like you mentioned, for the New Zealand tour? How you see this?
I will say, I mean, I don't really watch it as much as, say, a T20 game or an ODI game, but it's still, I mean, there's so many interesting points of it. And I feel like if Test cricket does finish faster, or like if it does have an actual result instead of draws, like I guess before in the past it was just like long out draws, play all 5 days, and then there's no result.
Sure.
But like actually trying to get a win and a loss, especially with the World Test Championship and getting points for every game, for every winning a series or something. Um, I actually prefer it this way. Like I know most people will think that this is counteractive to what the game is, the format is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be like a 4 or 5 day event, but now games are finishing within 2 and 3 days. But I feel like it's better this way because now you have people who are actually trying to go for they have something to fight for, like the series win, or getting like the trophy back and forth if it's like a bilateral series, like the Border Gavaskar Trophy or the Ashes or
Mm.
something. And then if you now, especially with like the WTC, the points table, like there's something to fight for. So there's more of I guess there's more of an importance in trying to get wins now, get some sort of result, because yeah, draws will get you like it might be good in the end if you're at a disadvantaged position to just bat out the day and like not, at least try not to lose. But if you try to play to win games and force results and stuff, that is it just, I mean, gives the players more power, I guess, like
Sure.
to be motivated to make to do better for themselves and then make a name, especially for like fringe names or something. I prefer it that way. I've been watching more Test cricket because, or following it more because it's finishing quicker. I'm not saying that maybe that should be like how the game should be played, because I mean each format has its own pros and cons, and there's a reason to watch each format for its own benefits. So yeah, if they do finish faster, it's good. It's good for the teams. Maybe maybe it's good for the fans too. Maybe they don't want to watch their like for 4 and 5 days, especially if it's a team that they're not really supporting, other than like the main support,
Sure.
their own country supporters or something. But I mean, it's like a plus minus thing, Like some people might like it, some people might not. I'm in the party that does like it. I prefer it actually, because then I can actually spend more time watching instead of like because it's a whole day event, Like you have to wake up in the morning and then you just play until you watch it until the night. How much time can somebody give towards like sports, especially if you're not at the stadium or something? Like if you're like me, I'm trying to watch it like
Yeah.
through streaming services and stuff.
Yeah,
That's I'm looking at it from my biased point of view, but maybe the cricket purists might think that this is not how Test cricket should be played.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, you heard a lot of things about baseball techniques and everything. You want cricket to be exciting. Why we
Yeah.
want West Indies team in T20Is, because they did really well in the T20I setup. This is the reason we want.
Mm.
And suddenly you see there's a note West Indies team, as you said, that ICC should look onto some rules and said to the no man. If because of his popularity, you just just slide a bit of a rule and said no, West Indies should play this. maybe increasing the qualifiers. Like it's the best thing happened is this particular World Cup because they have 20 teams, and I'm pretty much sure because
Mhm.
T20 cricket is so fickle, you will see a lot of ups and upsets for
Yeah,
sure, which we saw in the
yeah.
Netherlands versus South Africa or Pakistan versus
Mhm.
Afghanistan. We can also see in this as well.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'll say, I know people want to see teams like West Indies, but obviously, I mean, they've been so great at this particular format for so
Hmm.
long, so many World Cup appearances, so many wins and stuff. But I actually preferred seeing especially in like the ODI World Cup qualifiers, to see them get knocked out.
Yeah.
That I feel like that kind of stuff is like a wake up call, and maybe through these kind of moments, because obviously, like, not every team is going to win every game. But if you lose even the important games, maybe if that gives you like a wake up call, and it makes you want to actually be motivated for the next series or something, or the next upcoming tournament, to try to do your best. If more of these can happen to some of the bigger the countries, I feel like that's going to be better overall, because then they can, all the selectors and stuff will try to look past all their biases and stuff, and try to actually pick the best 11 or 15 players, or how many ever you can have in a touring party.
Sure.
I love watching those games, especially like seeing West Indies lose there, because here I'm thinking they're a cricket great. They've done so many good things in the past, but now they maybe they're like stuck in the past. They haven't really changed much or improved since then. And there are a lot of like politics going on within their country has been like uh, not allowing some certain players to play for them, or increased, I guess,
Yeah.
like qualification towards the team, that's leaving some talented players out who would have otherwise made it if those qualification requirements weren't so rigid.
Sure.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, like I think it's pretty fun.
It is fascinating, and I'm sure. So I'll tell you one thing before I wrap up and everything. I have few rapid fire questions, not a segment or something, but I have a rapid fire question to you guys. First, Arnav, I just want to know from Arnav. Arnav, if you remember any NBA controversy which you saw and said, no man, it's really freaking funny or something. You remember any NBA controversy?
Yeah, I wanted to stick Draymond Green like getting suspended because he basically tried to choke out Rudy Gobert, and he had like multiple incidents of like kind of violent behavior in the same season, and
Yeah.
he's kind of had a history of that. So I mean, yeah, but like he got suspended indefinitely, and then yeah, John Morant got suspended, for flashing a gun on a video, and it was like the second time he did it. On top of that, so things like that, I guess, kind of stick out. Yeah, I mean, this season there's been just
I
like
just got
a
to
lot
know
of
that
those, and
Odnui's Haslim was also who said something to Bill Russell family. There's something happened that he said something to Boston Athletics team. He actually said something to Bill Russell, who was actually a legend from Boston Athletics. So just reading
Oh,
somewhere, I remember that.
oh yeah, I think I heard about that. Yeah.
yeah. Going out there attacking legends, that's crazy. Come on.
So, anyways, it's just so yeah. I mean, if you remember, I just sent you that question and I asked you that. What about your favorite team and any reasons?
Yeah, for me it's definitely the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, because I've been a fan of them for like over 10 years. They used to play in New Jersey. They used to be the New Jersey Nets. Playing in Newark, where the New Jersey Devils still playing my favorite hockey team. But yeah, for the Nets, I mean, yeah, basketball, and I guess I kind of like them at the same time as the Devils. But yeah, I mean, the Nets have always been my favorite basketball team because I liked them when they used to play New Jersey during Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, Brooke Lopez, who's now on the
Yeah.
Bucks. Those are kind of the first Nets I remember watching growing up, and then they moved to Brooklyn. But I never lost sight of that. So that's why I'm like a Nets fan, I guess, over the Knicks. Kind of from northern New Jersey, kind of central northern New Jersey. So yeah, and then they've gone through like a whole lot. Multiple super teams. They got Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce from the Celtics. Are kind of, on their older side. That didn't work. They had Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Harden. That didn't really work out. They couldn't get over the hump. They couldn't beat the Bucks. Injuries. Kevin Durant's on the line. They've also had some rebuilds. They've had some fun years. They've had, they've had like Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, a lot of, Jared Allen, the fun, that's who, who used to kind of dance on the side of the court. So they've had rebuilding years, they've had contending years, they've had like the whole bunch, but yeah, it's definitely it's my team through thick and thin. And, I enjoy it. I always love watching the local broadcasts on Nets on Yes. So I'm just used to that. They're play-by-play announcers, they're players. Like the Nets are not doing too well right now. They're 11th in the East right now, not even in the play-in tournament spot, unfortunately. But that's how it is. This season, the bottom of the league is beyond terrible. I mean, the Pistons are like the worst team ever with 4 wins. The Trailblazers aren't good. The Wizards aren't good. The Spurs aren't good. The Nets are like a tier above. They're not great though. It's kind of been the worst year in a few years even with Cam Thomas, Dinwiddie. They're rebuilding after all the superstars, but I don't know. It's like as a Nets fan, it's like you can't get what you want. Like it's like because the super teams that didn't work, so now they're rebuilding. It's more fun, honestly, this way without the expectations. But I still wanted them to at least make the playoffs. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Last year, I actually went to my first Nets game in Brooklyn, and my first Nets game ever, actually. So it was cool after so many years to kind of get to go to Barclays Center in New York and Brooklyn to watch a game. It was against the Bucks with Giannis at the time, and Kevin Durant, Kyrie were still on the team. Sure. So I got to see them in person, got a Durant jersey, and that's really like one of my 2 favorite teams in all sports. Like I think the other team that I'm a really big fan of is the New York Giants in football. So that's always a lot of fun too. But it's definitely the Nets all the way for me.
Can you just explain me, because I know what is NBA draft, but for my listeners, I want to understand from you that what is NBA draft? If you can just give me a small brief about this.
Yeah, so that's when that's like in every sport, like when, like the teams, they pick the best players from college or from in the NBA, it also includes like international, and they basically they pick players to join their team. Like I think the IPL also has a draft, so it's similar to that. It's just like
an auction.
The team with the worst. Yeah, like the team with the worst overall pick will get the first. I mean, the worst record from the past year will get the first pick usually. Well, they have a draft lottery actually, so it makes it a little more complicated. But typically, the worst team gets the best. The worst team gets the first pick, so they could pick the best player out of college or wherever. Like this year, the Spurs had they got Victor Wembanyama, who's a 7-foot player who shoots threes. He has a handle. He could dribble. He's like 7'5". He could dunk. He's like one of the best. He's supposed to be one of the best players ever. He has the perfect prototypical. He's like Kevin Durant, with more size, more strength, like a center's body. Like he's the ideal NBA player, guard skills on a 7'5" body. But usually, so he went number 1. But so the worst teams will get to pick the best players, and then all the way up to the best teams will pick the worst players, I guess. So it's just the selection process for the top talent in college and in the US and in the world to be able to join the league. So they have 2 rounds in the NBA draft, and then a lot of players also join undrafted. They get selected to teams and stuff like that. But so that happens every summer. It's basically the selection process for how new players join the league, and it's definitely fun to watch for sure. I mean, I enjoy watching that.
I remember the first time actually one thing which got attention, at least to me, is when LeBron James surpasses Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's I think something about 33,000 points, right?
All-time point record, yeah.
So do you see it's some sort of you want those sort of things to as a broadcaster, right? Where it should get historical moments, and you actually, because if you remember, Rupayan, in cricket you saw a lot of things like this, right? When any Virat Kohli and remember that IPL thing happened when Virat Kohli and there's a fight with Nabibul Haq from Afghanistan, and suddenly become the whole news of it. So this is also a part of a game where you see a lot of fights as well. Don't you think, Rupayan?
Yeah, I mean, watching this kind of stuff, I mean, that's what will make the news the next day or something, or during the game. If we could see more stuff like that, I mean, it happens, I guess. There have been some related moments in U.S. sports too. Maybe not to that extent, but or in-game fights or something, because the broadcasters are more focused on the actual game on the field, but maybe not looking at the sidelines or where the fans are. But yeah, I mean, like if
But,
that kind
but
of
I'm
stuff
pretty much
happens,
sure
like
in
that would
India.
probably bring it.
I'm pretty much sure in
Yeah, that would
India you
bring
will see a
it.
lot of other things and stuff as well apart from the game. If
Yeah,
there's a fight going on, let's focus on the fight, not on the game.
true.
This we saw
Yeah.
actually. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the point of having multiple cameras, and you can focus have on some of them on the game and then some of them on the fight.
sure. So yeah, just before I wrap up, last question I want to ask from Rupayan. So what about
Hmm.
your top four semi-finalists? If I ask you to predict, who do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm going to want India, and I guess right now, from where the teams look at, I would probably say. I mean, it's hard from there on. I mean, I'm just gonna just say India from the start because I mean, bias. There you go. But the other teams, I mean, like England, Australia, they're always contenders every year.
Mm,
But like, which team? Who are they gonna bring? Like, what type of players are gonna still be there? You know, because in a related thing that you asked me before. About mental fatigue or taking rest from games.
mm.
There have been so many high-profile players from England even or like Australia who are either taking rest from games like Glenn Maxwell or even retired from a format entirely like Ben Stokes. Like he had to come out of ODI retirement to play in the World Cup that
Yeah.
happened in 2023.
Yeah, but not
Yeah,
effective because Ben Stokes for the whole season, apart from that game against
yeah,
Netherlands, if I'm not wrong,
yeah,
he didn't perform really well because obviously when you started, you get himself in that situation where just forcefully sending someone to play, it's not going to work,
hmm,
especially when it comes to international cricket,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. And so, yeah, now it's just about like which players are going to play and who's going to actually come out and perform.
Mm.
Just if I'm going to choose, then I'm probably going to say New Zealand always because they like I want them to win something. They've just been in so many parts of like heartbreaking losses and stuff. I want. I mean, at least they got their WTC final against us, which that sucks for us.
Yeah.
But like I mean, New Zealand, I'll say they're a strong team. They're having some good new fast bowlers to their side. Like they've been producing so many of them lately, and they seem to be coming up on the rise, like in the domestic level.
Mm.
Australia, because you just can't count them out.
Sure.
And let's see, the fourth team, I'd say could be England. Let's put it in England tentatively, but. Yeah, I mean, and in the end, I don't really care about any of them. I just want India to win.
Yeah, the biased fan came again.
Yeah.
No, man, no. Because if you ask me, I'll say India. I want India to be there because you expect
Mhm.
your toppers to be there, right? And if you see the team
Yeah.
is performing, then suddenly why will not? But still, I was
Yeah.
really if you see, okay, first of all, India, Australia,
Mhm.
New Zealand,
Mhm.
I think they are always there in and around,
Mhm.
right? I believe so.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a little confusion between England and Pakistan because England and Pakistan is
Mm.
those two teams, which is actually an unpredictable team. And if you see the whole World
Mhm.
Cup is actually sometimes you see Pakistan. I had a very good theory about this because I was listening to Harsha Bhogle. I'm sure you
Mhm.
both guys know Harsha Bhogle, who's an
Mhm.
Indian commentator.
Mhm.
He mentioned
Mhm.
he mentioned sometimes back that in Asia Cup last year, every time you make Pakistan's favorite and say ki, no,
Mhm.
you are going to be a favorite for this upcoming T20 World Cup, they will come and play a worse cricket of themselves every time. So
Yeah.
for Pakistan, this is the case. Things no Pakistan, there's no chance. Suddenly they will come and play wow cricket. So this is all
Mhm.
happening with
Yeah.
Pakistan. But if you just see, because it's a wonderful format, it's obviously
Yeah.
after
Definitely.
2 or 3 seasons. So after 2 3 seasons, there's a
Mhm.
new format again, and not no new format, but still, where you will get a lot of
Mhm.
chances. Okay, so
Mhm.
Super 8, I really believe Nepal will be there. I really think so, actually.
Mhm.
Because I reckon I
Yeah.
just yeah. I mean I'm pretty much sure. I think if you see that Nepal team, this is the reason I asked you that question as well. That what do you think about
Mhm.
Nepal team?
I do know of a couple of games. I know about a couple of players. Their coach is somebody who I've seen on his LinkedIn page, Monty Desai.
Yeah.
And obviously, how could we forget like their main player, Sandeep Lamichhane?
Mm.
He got to play in the IPL too. So I mean, they've made a name for themselves.
I think he's in jail right now.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, he's in trouble right now because of legal issues, maybe
Yeah.
injuries. I'm not sure, but he has to figure that stuff out first because that's more important than playing the game. But yeah, I mean, I feel like they did really well when Pupudu Dasanayake was their coach, Sri Lankan coach, who I think is back in Canada now. But yeah, he's coached so many good national and associate teams. Under him, I feel like Nepal was probably playing their best cricket, and it's just a sad thing that they didn't really get to do much in the international level in form of tournaments during that time.
Sure.
But I feel like he's definitely one of the best coaches that they have.
If you just place Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and Nepal, you will see only cricket, nothing else. So this is the case.
Yeah.
So okay, let's turn around the question and ask you. According, first of all, I just want to know from Arnav as well, dude. What do you think? Who will be your top four? I know you don't watch a lot of cricket, but still.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess India's got to be up there. I mean, Australia's obviously really good. I mean, I think New Zealand's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Pakistan's always like pretty good, but I'd probably go like South Africa. I think they're also pretty solid. Yeah, those would probably be my top four, and then maybe like if I were to keep going, I'd probably put Pakistan in there, probably put West Indies in there, and then yeah, those are probably like the maybe England as well. But yeah, those are probably like my top teams. Yeah, I'd probably go India, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa for right now. But yeah, I like the T20 format. I think it's it's very exciting. Compared to the other ones, could be much longer for like, for entertainment purposes like the IPL, and the T20 format's really exciting for like new viewers, and how short like the games are, maybe like around the same time as an MLB, like a baseball game, like maybe it's like 3 hours or a little longer, but it could be really exciting because the teams are going to be incentivized to just score runs, and you rack up the amount of runs, and it's a very you could easily sit through a T20 match and enjoy it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that in the World Cup, and the T20 World Cup in the States is going to be pretty big. So should be pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly right, because I like you mentioned, you love T20 cricket, and it's a fact that if you see the whole format right now, the T20 stuff is actually something because it's a shorter format, just 2 hours game, that's it. Okay. This is what actually going to be a future, because if you see NBA actually works like this, just 45 minutes, 30 minutes, that's it. This is so important thing. Yeah, and because it's very funny. I was just listening to someone as very famous sports presenter from India. He mentioned if you're watching the whole ODI cricket, right, the 50 over whole format, which means he was definitely studying with a job, because you don't have a job. Because if you have a job, then you will never ever go and watch 50 over total game.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. or like test. Yeah, much more nice, even more.
Yeah, I mean, you can see and you can watch few sessions if you want to watch when it comes to test cricket, but you can't watch the whole 50 over format.
I know. Yeah, literally. Like the World Cup, it started like at night. I think at like 3 a.m. and it was going on until like our time, and then it was going on until like into the morning. So I woke up, I saw India was like, they only had like 270 runs or something, and I was like, oh my goodness, like Australia's gonna win. And then, sure enough they did. But like watching that whole game would have just been like, that's just like a lot. Like, for like the Super Bowl, you could watch like 4 hours of programming, pre-game, like the game, and then the post-game, and that's like the same amount of time. So, it's like completely different. You could probably watch like 3 NFL games, like, back to back to back in the same amount of time. You can watch one 50-over game. So the 20 overs, I think, is definitely much more like, doable for, even to introduce like new fans to it. I think even the Olympics, like they're gonna have like T20 cricket, which in LA 2028, which I think is like really huge. I'd love to see like India, like and teams like that, like, who don't have a lot of success in many of the other sports, like put together like a really competitive team, and like the whole world could get to see what what we're all crazy about, because like cricket's a really fun sport. Like people that don't know, like they just don't know. I mean, like none of my friends in America are gonna understand like like, why we're all like crazy about cricket in India. But, like, I'm a huge like American sports fan, but I feel like, yeah, that's going to bring so much more exposure, just like, how much fun it is to watch cricket. So I think it's definitely great.
First of all, from Rupayan, right?
Mhm.
I just want to know your India connection.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I was born in Muscat, Oman, to Indian parents. That's why I consider myself Indian completely.
Sure.
I've been immersed in their culture from such a young age, and I mean, you can. I can be an American citizen now. I can be born in a completely different country, but I'm still always going to be Indian through and through. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's my Indian connection. I've gone a couple of times. When we used to be in Oman for 10 years, we used to go every other year or something to visit our relatives and stuff. But then once we moved to the U.S., it became longer. But we actually went to a trip after like 7 years or something in 2023, and it was really fun meeting everybody again. Meeting all the new generation in our families, like with some of our relatives having kids and stuff. So it was really nice getting to know everybody again.
And what about you, Arnav?
Yeah, I mean, well, I've been, I'm born and brought up in the U.S., but like obviously my family's Indian, I'm Indian origin, so like I have a connection just from that. But also I grew up in, and I still live in Edison, New Jersey, which is, one of the most highly populated Indian towns in the entire United States. So like, there's like literally a street like not far from my house, like Little India. So there's tons of Indian food in stores, and literally like 5 minutes away. Most of my school district is Indian American or Asian American. We also have like decent Chinese American population here. So it's very like diverse, but it's also like very Indian oriented. So like I grew up in in the culture, I guess. Like most of my friends from here, if not all, in Edison are Indian American, maybe a few of other races and Chinese, but like so many of my friends at school were Indian, like most of the school population is Indian. So we eat Indian food every day. It's just part of the culture. It's like a normal thing. Like, maybe in other parts of the United States, it's like not, you'd be seen as the minority still, even in other parts of New Jersey, but in Edison, it's like, we're like the majority. So yeah, that's, I guess, my connection is that like we're kind of like all Indian American. So that's kind of like, it's kind of like our own little culture that we kind of have going on here. And then I've been once, I haven't really been in a while. Still kind of gave me a culture shock because it's just completely different. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much, yeah. I love the food. I'm not really too familiar with like, I'm also Bengali, so I'm from, my parents are like they're from Kolkata too. So I don't really speak the language and all that well. I kind of understand parts of it and stuff like that. I can kind of make out what they're saying, but yeah, mainly the food's good. I practice the religion. The culture definitely, we're all part of it, especially in Edison. And in terms of cricket, I mean, like I don't know, like I just kind of I mean, I enjoy watching. I'm not a crazy fan, but as a crazy sports fan, it kind of like, I guess my love for sports, like that's kind of like it definitely ties back to India. So it's nice to be able to kind of support that team as well. So yeah, that's like my connection, I guess, to India, especially being in Edison. I think that definitely makes it a lot more real because so many Indian Americans in this town and in the surrounding area, so you never really feel out of place here for sure.
Great, man.
Yeah, and then we try to go to visit temples as much as we can, try to participate in as many Indian cultural events. But we even like to see streams of like pujas that are going on, like the Durga Puja or something. If there are any sort of festivals that are going on, and if an Indian community in the U.S. is also performing or like participating in it, then we also try to go there as much as we can. Like in my family, we try to go to North Carolina. That's like they have a big Vedanta center. That we try to be a part of as many events as we can. They have live streams now because after COVID they made it so that less people can go there, but it can still be streamed at your home and you can watch it. So yeah, I mean, and then in terms of like speaking the language and stuff, I do try to read as much of it as I can, listen to it, hear it. Talk it. I mean, like I speak it. It's my mother tongue. Bengali is my mother tongue. Like that's the first language that I was taught when I was born. So
No, it's fascinating because I'd love to meet you guys very much, in person, whether it will be in US or in India if you come down. So it's going to be fascinating, man. So yeah, it's really, really thank you so much for you guys, Thank you so much for joining. I'm really
No problem. Thanks for like setting all of this up.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping that after this World Cup and every sort of a things, where things will get changed for the cricket, and obviously NBA is there for the big games, after the in-season tournaments and every sort of things. I'm sure sports will do well. That's it. The only motto is to make sure that sports will do well in future, specifically in every country, and promoting sports and talking about sport is absolutely fun. So thank you so much, guys, for joining this podcast. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for the amazing questions, man. I mean, it was really good interview for sure.
Thank you so much. I'll make sure I'll do a lot of more specifically after that India and America game, because India and America is in the same group.
Yeah.
Right? India's and America in the same group, actually. Yeah. They both are in the same group, the Group A, and not only this.
Pakistan, right?
Yeah, India, Pakistan, America is in the same group. Nothing better than this.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think it's some good rivalry.
Going to be fun, dude. Going to be fun. And I'm thinking about something more, After that India Pak game, India US game, we can touch down and talk about a lot of things that what happened, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much.